Hi guys, welcome to Carly's Creative Clay. I'm Carly. I hope you've all had a good week, and it's that time that I've been worrying about. I'm doing the thing that I'm the least confident in doing with the entire field of sculpting. It's going to be making the head for the doll that we've been creating over previous weeks. Hi Hearty Life, your curry sounds lovely. So yeah, I'm gonna get on with that, but I always start by showing a couple of things that are in my shop. So I thought I'd do a quick dragon theme here. We've got a statue which, if you can see close, it's completely smooth. I've put in Guardian of my last marble and a heart, and if you see, the dragon's holding an actual marble. He's on a base that's got a lot of glass beads in it and red holographic glitter, but he is a dark orange and bright orange dragon, and only one of these in the shop, and he's £35.
Looks like red and orange on the camera.
It looks red and orange, but it is actually a dark orange. So here, I'll show you. Let's get some red out and hold it against it so you can see the difference. They look similar, but it's actually a dark orange. It's almost a red though. You are right. The other one off in my shop, we've gone for a dragon trinket box.
Life says he's a beauty.
I know, I love my dragons. Along the edge, there are stars with little yellow crystal beads embedded in. It's got some little feet, £20. The dragon itself, he's cuddling up with a stone egg. And I would say I've got folded wings the best on this dragon that I've ever achieved anywhere, because they concertina really well. So I was uber pleased with that. He's actually got cat's eye crystals for its eyes. So if I bring that up close, you can see the line that gets formed when you get in the right light, and an actual tumbled polished stone for a horn. Inside, it's got a bit of depth to it, so you can actually get some stuff in, and gold star to help hold it secure. So £20. If you want anything and you want to see my full range, my Etsy shop, top corner, just there, put that into Etsy and you'll find me. Okay?
Unless
right.
we eventually get rid of them because they keep making things worse.
I don't know how long I'm going to be staying with Etsy, because there's a lot of things that mean I'm getting next to no sales and paying a lot of money for listing fees. So when I actually get around to feeling well enough, I might be looking for a new platform to be selling off of. So Etsy for now though. Right, on to our woman. This is where we got to over previous weeks. So if you want to see how I done all these different bits, if you go into my YouTube, you will find all the previous weeks where I've done all this various bits. So we're now up to sticking a head on her. So what I did was, like always, give myself as much help as possible. I went through Google Images and I got this set of pictures. So as you can see, it's a darker skin tone, which is in line with the tone I was using in my clay, and it's both forward facing and profile shots, and I've tried to go for hairstyles which do not cover the face, so I can really get the right shapes for what I'm going to work from. Now I guarantee you my end product is going to look nothing like any of them. I'm not that good yet where I can recreate an actual person. Give me a while, probably a year or so's time, you'll be getting those videos. But I'm learning on the job here. Right, that can come off screen. To give myself extra help, I printed that. So I've got it in front of me here. So I may be referencing... I can clip it to the back, but I want to be able to move it around. Okay. So, next order of business, I'm going to talk about eyes first. Because the eyes, you need to pre-make them and then bake them. It's far easier to work with baked eyes already. If you try and add them in raw, every time I've attempted it, I smudged it up. So, this is some pre-made eyes I've already got. Some very small, some a bit bigger. And I'm going to show you how I make them. Quickly, now I'm going to make one big eye. So, what I tend to do is I use Sculpting for my eyes. Because they bake at a higher temperature to FIMO, which is what I use for everything else. So I find the translucent liquid Sculpting bakes clearer than the translucent liquid FIMO. I have both of them. So I use that. I try and stay with Sculpting, but I am going to use FIMO on this big eye because I'm going to not have anything I'm going to need an eye this big for. But I'm doing it this big so you can really see what I'm up to. Right, ball of white. I tend to flatten the back, so I push it down. I'm not that bothered whether it's completely round because you're going to be putting a load of eyelids around it. You're not going to see it. You need ball tools. I've used them on many of my previous videos. They're some of my most used. You can go for the small set. You won't find one with a handle like this. It did have a handle like that, but I've used it so much it broke along that top bit there, so I've just encased it in clay. But they go right down to really, really tiny little balls like that, all the way up to really big sets like this. That's not even the biggest one there. Let me have a look. I very rarely use the biggest one, so I think it's right up the back somewhere. Whoop. So there's more. It's a set of 5. It goes up to about that big. It's like a really big one somewhere, but I almost never use it, so it's probably up the back around my tools. But it's worth getting. If you go on to eBay or Amazon or a million other places that do craft supplies, you're looking and you put in ball tool, you'll come up with the set, and they're not that expensive, and it just gives you a lot to do. Right, so you're going to make a hole in the middle of your eye. You're not going all the way through. I'd say about halfway down. So let's hold that up to the camera. Did I just launch an eye? Yes I did. Ah, there it is. Gotta be more slow, less throwing them around. So can you see I put a dent in the middle of that? We're just going to bring the brightness down so you can see it. So yeah, dent in the middle with your ball tool. Then you get the colour that you want. Using the same ball tool. That might be a bit much. Let's half that. You want a lot less than the space. So little ball about that big. Drop that into your hole. Use the same size ball tool and just push on top of that. and it will coat the sides of that hole. So you now got another dent down, but this time I'm going to pick them up after. This time in blue. Now in that little dent down, you can do one or two things. If it's a bigger eye and you want to get fancy about it, you can put a contrasting colour. So let's get a tiny bit of dark blue. Put that. You want even smaller than your first colour. So that might even be a bit much. So tiny little bit, even for an eye that big. So this is why I don't do the contrasting colours on smaller eyes. I just stick with one. Same tool again, but make sure it's in the middle. Smudge it down. Then, as you can see, it's now going light to dark. After that, and again on smaller eyes I don't take this step, I just do that one smudge. You can get a needle tool and just draw lines going from the middle to the outside. And you don't have to be that neat or accurate, just score it around. This is why it's useful to do it on a tile, because you can spin it easier. Right, so like that. Can you see it's got lines around it? Yeah. Then last off, smallest bit yet, tiny ball of black. You're going to stick that in the middle.
You're definitely going to have to lift it up.
Use your needle tool to centre it. Lightly tap it down. Then I'll show you. Can you see there's a black ball in the middle of that now? Then that space you fill up with, if you're using Sculpting, your translucent liquid Sculpting, or if you're using Fimo, your translucent liquid Fimo. I recommend doing it all in Sculpting because the translucent is more see-through.
Which are you doing?
I'm doing it on Fimo because the rest of this one is Fimo, because I'm going to scrap this after and just use it for something else, because I'm never going to need an eye that big. But if I work on the size I actually going to use, you're never going to see what I did. So what you do is you get your liquid Sculpting or Fimo, and you're going to put a blob to fill up that gap where you pushed it down, so it's got a nice little rounded top. And if you see, I'm doing little circles like that, that'll stop you getting that long string. So you just tiny circles and it'll get rid of the string for you of liquid clay. If you've got air bubbles or it's not going over to the edge properly, use your needle tool or your toothpick, pop the air bubbles and just move it all in place like this. Now I'm going to lift it up. Now it looks cloudy as all hell, I know. When it bakes up it goes less cloudy, so you end up, let's see if I can get my eye box and I'll show you. Here's one baked, and this is with Sculpting. So can you see there's a dome to it like there is with an actual eyeball, and it doesn't matter that the eyeball, the dot, what's it called, pupil, has slid down a bit. You can always position the eyelid so it's slightly closed like that and it will still look fine. It'll look like they're looking down. So lots of mistakes are totally passable. So once you baked it, it goes a bit more cloudy. Once you put a layer of varnish on, when you've finished, it will go completely see-through. And yeah, I don't think I've got an eye that I've already baked and varnished. The other thing you may find happen when you bake it, some of the liquid Sculpting. Oh, let's go in the camera. Woo, down here. Can you see there's an edge like that? That isn't it ruined. Just use a X-Acto blade to just cut around the edge. Just put it on a table. Get your craft knife, because if you try and push that into an eye socket, it's going to make a very big eye socket. So just literally go around and roughly trim it off, and it comes off really simple. See, I've already trimmed this one down halfway, and I've been doing that in one sentence. See, it's almost off there. So that's not it ruined. If you find that you haven't filled up your eye enough with liquid clay, you can always add some more and rebake it. So it's
move the camera down because
pretty hard to ruin these things. Right.
We're not really close enough to get a good focus.
My wonderful techie guy is helping me out with camera placement. Right. So you will find though, if you haven't tapped that dot down enough before you put the liquid clay in, that it will float and start to go off to one side. So you can always do that with your pin tool once you've got your liquid in. So that's how you make your eyes. Bake them up for 15 minutes at the temperature required for the clay that you're using, and you're good. And what I do is I literally make a box full of them. Eyes and teeth. Whole box. Well, dragon teeth. And then they're ready to go. The only other thing I'll tell you is that on my eye colouring, I found what looks really good is if you get translucent Polymer or Sculpting and mix in metallic mica powder, then you end up with a more shiny eye colour at the end. So what I've got here, this is all the Sculpting I have. I've got white, sorry, this one's white, this one's translucent, and in the translucent I mixed up, that's some blue mica powder. Can you see it's more shiny than you get with standard blue clay, which is a lot more matte. And again, same with the browns and the greens. So I'll hold the box up so you can see what I've done. And these have lasted years, because if you think about it, I generally use on my eyes about that, not even that much. So you're gonna have this for a long time. And if you find that it dries out over time, just mix a little tiny bit of the translucent liquid clay into it. So just put a blob on and then just start folding it in, and that'll bring it back to soft again. And it will last you forever, and you can just keep making eyes to the right size that you want, the right colour that you want. It's so much easier, because you can find dough eyes, but it's hard to find ones that will go through the oven. A lot of them are plastic, a lot of them are the wrong size and all that sort of stuff. So just make them. It's easy. So yeah, now I've got that, I can show you that I've got a load of different eye colours here and a few different sizes. So once we get to that stage, I've got them ready. So I'm just going to push them out the way and add some clay to get the head on. Now, first, what I'm going to draw your attention to in the picture, can you see? I need to show my finger. The bump of the back of the head there starts around eye level. So you're not bringing that lump all the way down to the bottom of the chin. It goes very sort of diagonal up So when I first saw it and focused on it, the head shape looked weird, but it actually isn't. So this is the brown that I was using, and again, where it dried out slightly, I just added some liquid Fimo in, because this is Fimo. I don't know if you can put liquid Sculpey into Fimo and vice versa. I've never tried it, but I don't need to. I've got both. And you can get them anywhere you get Fimo or Sculpey. So, what we got here, that there's a metal armature inside that, so metal wired doll shape. And this is a loop of metal with tin foil packed in to that loop and then covered in masking tape. So it's a very sturdy, firm core. We want to make that in the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some clay to the front like this, and we're going to push and make sure it's on firmly like this. Start to bring it up around the side, and then going to add to the back after. Can you see I'm just bringing it in? And I'm not aiming for the face shape completely yet. I'm aiming for the right amount of clay. So we're clay allotting here. So that'll do. Can you see the face does stick forward a lot more? So that's the front of the neck. You want, this would be where that post is. So you want some decent front loaded clay. Then for the back, you're going to use less. Now we can always add to it or at a later date. That may be too much. Let's take some more off, because again it's easier to add, I find, than it is to take away. So I'd rather do a little bit. And we're going to just bring the bump up there and start to join in those two bits so that it's one central ball. So we're going to smooth out those join lines. Make sure you fill in any gaps that are showing, which is why it's useful to put masking tape over, because white shows up very well. The other thing is you don't want sharp bits of tin foil sticking through, so masking tape up your foil armatures is actually very useful. So I've got roughly the right amount of clay on, so the first thing I'm going to do from here is join it all on to the base of that neck. Now let's put this down, take my nightgown off, because now I've been doing physical work, I'm not freezing no more. Nightgown, dressing gown, the big fluffy jacket you wear, that one. Right, what you're looking for is anything that has a narrow but rounded edge. So I want to work with the sides rather than the balls on this. You can also use a cocktail stick, it's the same thing. But what we're going to do, like this, see that scruffy join line? Yeah? We're just going to get a little bit above that and just roll the clay down like that. Now I find cocktail sticks are a little bit flimsy for me, that's why I like using the sides of my ball tools. So I'm just rolling it down. The technical term is you're feathering in, but basically you're just smoothing it in. You can use your ball tool as well. I'm going to have to clay cover this one, it's starting to wobble. It shows you how much I use these tools. So much. The reason why we are doing the join first before we get shaping anything is you don't want to mess anything that you're shaped by smoothing in later on. And it also helps just join the clay and keep it firm, because when you're adding raw clay to baked clay, it can slide around if you haven't got it pushed on properly. So this is why I do this bit first. I wonder if I'm going to need to sand some of that neck at some point, because I think I baked it a bit uneven, so it weren't smooth. I had to carve a bit off because I made too thick a neck. If you look at previous ones, that was a thing. You can smooth in rough bits with raw clay, and that's what I'm going to hope to do. But if you see, my fingers are really too big to get into that space, and this is why I'm trying to use tools to help me do what I would normally do with my fingers. So at the back here, it's fine, you can fit a finger there and just smooth in like that. But as soon as you start getting near the arms and under the chin, it's going to get difficult. But we can always come back at the end and do a bit more, because the neck doesn't get in the way of the face too much, because I'm doing quite a long neck on this woman. So that'll do roughly for now. I have been known to spend half hour alone just getting this perfect, but there we go. So we want to smooth out all the join lines before we start to shape it to a position that we want the clay to be. So I'm just using my thumb and I'm not pushing too hard. You don't want to pull the clay off, so be gentle. But we're not needing feather touch here, so it's just don't be too over the top with it. Now I'm going to take that back bit and I'm starting to push up into a bump like that. I'm going to use my thumb just to flatten out that back there, or my finger, and then I'll bring that round into the top back bump, and you're looking at that being in line with the ears, which is along the center. And it took me forever to really believe that the eyes are truly in the center of your head. Halfway, that's what you're looking at. It feels like they should be further up your face than that, and they're not. Right, I've got that where I want. Now to get a face shape in. Don't want to go cone head. So just a nice bit of a bump to the top back. There we go. Right. Now, can you see on the profile, the forehead slopes back, goes down, so the nose and lips are a little bit further forward. So we're gonna try and recreate that a bit here by just starting to pinch down like that, and then we're gonna bring it so that we can form the chin shape that we want, like this. And that takes looking straight on and looking at it from the side, and also you'll find turning it upside down and turning it on its side, you'll find by looking at as many different angles as possible, you're more likely to spot if something's not symmetrical, just looking a bit odd, that sort of thing. So just take some time and fiddle until you get that nice sort of sloped into a chin shape that you want. Now I think I'm going to bring that chin just slightly in a bit more like that. We will come back and do more work on the chin later, but we're just getting a rough head shape that we like. And if you want wider cheeks, you can squidge up there, you can fiddle around like that, but I think we're on to starting to put the eye sockets in. So this is where I'm at so far.
Hearty Life said, is the whole body still unbaked?
Oh no, the body's all baked. Everything's baked apart from the head. The reason why I bake in stages is so that you can hold it and move it without smudging all your detail. Because especially these scapulars at the back, they're so easy just to smudge out with careless handling. So if you look each week that there's a video, I think I did torso, then legs, then arms, and now I'm on to head. Each stage got baked in between, and you can add raw clay to baked clay fine. So we've now got that sort of shape. We're going to put in some eye sockets. So what I want to do, again, use a ball tool that is appropriate for the size head you've just made. So I'm going for about that sort of size, and you want to have it, the face square in front of you. So unfortunately, hi, no worries.
Sorry, I forgot to send you a reminder.
It's gonna look like you're seeing the top of the head because I can't get over the top without getting in the way of the camera. Actually, am I in the way of the camera? Sorry about the close facial.
The face isn't actually,
but you don't want.
the camera and your...
You need to look at it properly. And where you're putting this eye socket, it's halfway down the head, right up close to where you can visualize a nose being, and you're going to push down a bit and just slightly bring it out. And again, same the other side. So you're pushing down, bring it slightly out.
Hearty Life says, last week I didn't even realise it was Wednesday till about 9 p.m.
Neither did my mother-in-law. That's why she called us for dinner
in the
middle of the stream, and we're like, yeah, we're streaming. She's like, oh no. So
Hearty Life said, so I was very late.
That's alright. So we now basically got what looks like a grey alien. And that's fine. That's what you want. We are I'm just going to bring that out a little bit more like that. There we go. So we've got the bridge of the nose in there, and if you want to make it look more feminine, you're going to narrow it up a little bit like that. There we go. So that's already there. Now I find it easier, come in, draw where I want the end of the nose to sit, which is just underneath the eyes, so probably about there. I do a very, very faint little score line just to tell myself what I want, and then I want the mouth.
Frontal says, hello, I'm late too, got to set a reminder.
Hello, no worries, everyone's welcome. I'm really pleased to have people.
The only people who have to be here on time are me.
Yeah, the only ones that have to be here every week on time is me and my lovely techie husband, Jamie. And even then, there are weeks that I am not well enough. So can you see how I portioned this out? The eyes are halfway. The nose, that little score line there, is just a little bit lower. And the mouth, so the space under the eyes, how can I put this? You divide that in half and that's your mouth. Then the space that's on the top, you divide that in half and that's where your nose line is. So half, quarter, quarter, then half of the remaining space. Does that make sense? Have I explained that right?
I don't know.
Right. Face in half, eye line. The remaining bottom half, half that, so that's the whole space into quarters. That's your mouth line. Then the middle quarter you divide in half and that's your nose line.
That's very complicated.
Yeah? It is complicated, but you're just working in halves.
Artie says, my phone calendar reminds me very quietly, so I've added a natural alarm. Very Hedgehog says, oh wow, that's coming.
Yes. So, now with the next to no mouth and no nose, she really, really looks like a grey alien. So if I'm triggering anyone for your abductions, I'm sorry. I'll put eyes in. Yeah? Now.
Really,
whoop.
You need to have a stage where you mark to work out.
But you need to mark it out. Because what you'll find, the reason why I struggle so much with humans is our entire brain is hardwired, programmed to recognise proportions on faces. And if you get it out a little bit, you're really, really going to be noticeable. So, I got some tiny eyes. I think they're going to be too small for that. And you can just pick them up and have a feel and hold them next to it. I think I'm going to go for some of the bigger ones. And I told myself I would probably do this brown set here.
Would you mind going very slightly forward?
Sorry, like this.
If you'd rather, I could adjust
this little brown set. Now again, the pupils are not dead bang in the middle, and they are kind of cloudy, and that is entirely fine. There is a little gadget that I have found. I got one of those sets where you pick up little plastic crystals and set them into a big sticky sheet for Christmas, and there was this nice little pen, and what it's got is like a wax that you put in the top and the bottom, and it picks things up like that, and they're brilliant for me placing my eyes. I think it might be a bead tool. You can find them online, I'm just not sure what they're called. So this helps me pick up and put them in like that. Whoop. So, very startled, eyes are in. I'm going to take, at this moment, use my needle tool to make sure that they're facing the same way. You're looking at the dots in the middle. You want them to be, the eyes looking in the same direction forward, or you're going to have boss-eyed or wandering eye, which living with a wandering eye, which I do, it doesn't look that great on pictures. So you want to try and get your doll, unless you want one with a wandering eye, this is the stage you're going to just push around on the white until you've got it laying where you want. Right, like this. I'm just smudging it in, making sure they're even distance from each other. There we go.
The right eye looks... Can you face it directly up to the camera? I think the right eye needs to go across a bit.
Just across a bit that way?
Yeah,
like that?
No, the other way.
The other way.
It was not close enough to the edge, if you see what I mean. The other one is closer
like
to
that?
the edge of the face. Yeah.
Right. Now, there are two things you can, well, 3 different ways I've seen eyelids done. You can get some of the coloured clay, roll out a ball that'll go over the top, smudge it so that it's really, really thin, join it over the whole thing, smoothing around the edge, cut a line and then push the eyelids open, if that makes sense. I have done it like that before, but I find it leaves marks on the eyeball, so I don't like doing it that way. The other thing you can do is get the forehead and under eye and just start to squidge it like that. But that will leave you not a lot of eye socket. It just sort of looks like the forehead is going into eyelid. So what I do is this. I get tiny bits of brown. You're looking for something that's going to be the size that you want of the top eyelid. So tiny balls. Make sure that they're both the top eyelid balls are the same size as each other. Otherwise, it will look like one of your eyes are swollen. And that's a possibility. If that's what you want to go for, then make one of these balls slightly bigger at this stage. Because you're going to end up with more storyline in your piece if it's got more characters like that. But I'm going for standard. I think that ball's still too small. Sorry, it's worth getting this right, even though it's kind of boring to watch. That'll do. A little bit more off that one. There we go. Right, that's fine. They're both the same size. Roll them out into balls. Like that. Right. You're going to take your ball. Smudge it down a bit with your fingers. You're going to push on one side with a thumb to make a semicircle. And if you push on the sides of it like that, you'll find you get a really good semicircle. See? You want 2 of those. Just pinch it because you really do want the points of that semicircle, because that's going to be the corners of the eyelids. That's it. This is what I want. That's what you're aiming for. Can you see they've got real pointed corners? Yeah? 2 of these. So again, smudge it flat a bit, push on one side, pinch down. Oh, I'm off. Push on one side, pinch down the edge bits like that until you've got that nice little, almost looks like an orange segment more than a semicircle, but that look. Yeah? 2 of those. The under eyelid, far easier. You want tiny little balls, same size as each other, slightly smaller than the ones you just done. So it's getting messy. I warn you, try and keep clean. If you leave little scraps of clay knocking around, you will find that it sticks to something you don't want it to stick to. Usually it's where I've not noticed it's there. I put it down on my work and they've got a sudden lump sticking somewhere that I don't want it. Right, this ball you're going to turn into the smallest little sausage, like that, and you're going to taper both ends. So you're going to push on the end, then push on the end, like that. And I will hold this up to the camera. Can you see? Sausage tapered end. Yeah? 2 of them. Roughly the same length. Like so. Now, they don't look like eyelids yet. They really will. Let's get my girl back. My very startled looking girl. I'm going to use a ball tool. We're going to do the under eyelid first. So I pick it up in the middle forward a bit. Right, I'm putting that so that the strand is pretty much central. You're going to bring that point up to the corner of the eyelid so that it makes that center corner of your eye. And you come round with the other, sorry, that you come in round, just tapping it up into place like that. Now, I know it looks like a big thick slice at the moment, so it's got this sort of big bulge. What we're going to do is, actually that ball tool is too big, this one, tiny ball tool. We're going to just go along that bottom edge and smooth it in like this. And there you go, we've got a bottom eyelid. Just a little bit of finagling, like that.
It looks very strange with only a bottom eyelid.
One bottom eyelid. We're going to do the same the other side. So I find it easier to pick clay up with a bigger ball tool, and all I do is just run the ball into the centre and it sticks. You see?
Slide it against the
So you just slide it, a little scoop motion, and you got it. And again, towards the centre, and get it off your ball tool. Bring, whoop, stick down. Bring that side up to make the corner.
So Hedgehog says it makes such a difference.
And that side up to make the other corner. Then we're going to turn it around. It does make a difference. The top eyelid is the clincher. And if you find that it's slightly too long, like that, you just smooth it into the nose clay. So you haven't got to take it off and cut it all back down to size. You'll be able to hide it up just fine. I always start in the middle with my smoothing and then go out to the edge, because you're more likely to not push the clay out of position that way. Not entirely sure why, but it does seem to want to move when you start on the outside edge. So that's got a bit too much clay there. Can you see I've just got rid of that little end tip?
Not really.
There we go. Like that. Now it's not very smooth, it's lumpy. If you are going for an older person, it doesn't matter so much. If you're going for a younger person, you want it all to look smooth. And just very gently rubbing over it with a stylus that's a bit bigger than the one you used can just smooth it out nice like that. There we go. So, little less startled. Now looking kind of half startled, half suspicious.
Yep.
So let's get a top eyelid on. And again, you're going from the middle, and this time you're picking up the flat edge, so the rounded, let's see, can you, whoop, will it focus? Let's put my doll down and do that, that'll help it. You see, the flat edge is the edge I picked up, and the rounded's at the top, like that. And we're just going to place that, you're going to push the flat edge towards the top bit of clay there. And then, like you did with the bottom, bring it in to the edges. You don't want to take it all the way down right to touch the point. You want a little bit of a gap. Can you see? A little bit of a gap on that side. There. It just means that it looks like a more open eye. And then I'm off camera, sorry. And then I'm smoothing in the top line so that it is joint. It looks odd when you don't smooth it in. It looks like a stuck-on eyelid.
Charlie Star says, I agree. Very Hedgehog recently just said, it makes such a difference.
Thank
It really
you.
does make such a difference.
It really, really does. Can you see? Just smoothing it in really, really gently. Like that. Once we got both eyelids on, we can position the eyelids to what we want, whether we want more closed, more open, how it's laying. So we just at this point want to get it basically stuck on. So same again on the other eye, flat side. I know, I've got to pick it up.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just picking something up. Right, flat side, rounded side. We're literally pushing the tip of that rounded bit in to the top of the skull, and then small ball tool towards the center, smoothing that joint like this. Whoop, stick down, no wandering. See, the other one goes so smoothly. This one looks like you have been in a horrible car accident. Oh, here we go. Like that. Here we go. Got it. Smooth it in a bit more with the bigger tool. There we are. Can you see? We've got eyelids.
The rest of the faces.
Once you've smoothed it as much as you want, and this is another stage that I can spend ages working on, making sure that I've got the shape that I want on the eyelids and that I've smoothed it out. So it's actually kind of easier to make old people who have far less smooth skin than it is to make the young perfectly smooth. So at the moment those eyelids, they look a bit closed to me. She looks tired. So I'm going to use my needle tool and I'm going to just come under that top eyelid and bring that bit up and just start to gently push. If you push too hard at this stage, you're going to end up with a big dent in the eyelid, and that is a terribly hard thing to fix if you end up with a line. I know, I've sneezed and done it. At that point, use your blade, take the whole eyelid off, make a new eyelid. It's just easier, trust me. I want to open a little bit more at the side there, like that. Now on this one, I'm going to do the same. Just bring the eye, open it up a bit more. Bring that bottom eyelid down a little more. So you can just literally position your eyelid where you want using your needle tool, which is wonderful, I think. So you haven't got to get it right. I think that's more like it, except this side is gone funky in the corner there, so I'm just going to bring it.
Fred Hedgehog says, so the moral is don't sneeze.
Yeah, don't sneeze when you're on a fiddly bit. So
Party Life says, it's a hell of a sneeze that puts a dent in a face.
I know, right? Human sculpting is so fiddly. I can totally understand why people want to just do these massive, great big busts, because the smaller you get, the harder it is to do. So there we go. We're more or less smoothed in. I'm not so worried about that nose yet. I'm more worried about the outside edges. Just gonna do that. I love my fingers as a smoothing in tool. It's probably the best. There we go. That's what I want. So eyes are more open, and I can fiddle around with them a little bit more later on if I want. We're gonna start by adding a nose. So little bit of extra clay. Don't need a lot because it's a small face. And I'm going to bring that into a ball, and then the ball into a teardrop, like this. And I'm just flattening it down. I'm going to use my finger to pick it up and put it in place. I'm not going all the way up to the top of the forehead. You're just putting it to the corner of those eyes. Can you see? So, like that. Now, those join lines make it look very much like a stuck on bit of clay. So again, we're back to our ball tools again. I think it does look a bit Muppet nose, doesn't it? So we're going to join it in before we look at getting the shape right. And you want to smooth that top line into the forehead like that, and we're going to go down the sides and join that in. The underside of the nose you're not so bothered about because we've got a lot to do with that yet, but those sides definitely need joining in. And take this opportunity to sculpt your nose bridge so that it's even on both sides and has a straight central bridge. So it kind of goes up into a point, a nose. I think you're just starting to stick out a little bit too much there. There we go. Like this. That's looking much more like it. What do you reckon?
Looking good to me.
So can you see just by joining in that sides makes a difference? And again, I'm going to make sure afterwards that I get rid of all these lines, but you want to make sure you've got a bridge of a nose that is in the center, even.
Any chance you can...
Sorry, there we go, like this.
Slightly. You don't have to move much.
Let's move the eyes out of the way. That's a good start.
You're doing a lot better with staying centre, but you've gone off again.
Whoop, there.
Yeah.
Right. I think a bigger ball tool will get me. I'm trying to get these lines out. There we go. That looks more like it. Like that. And then down that side. Like that. So once I've got my bridge of my nose how I like, just going to use my fingers just to tap it down and bring it to where I want. Now we got to pick a nose shape, and you can pinch and use your ball tool if you want to bring a pointy sort of Roman nose. I've got a very rounded nose, so if I wanted to do that I'd come under there and start to bring up and point in, but we're going to go for quite a flat, wider nose. So I'm going to tap down and start to bring it out to the side a bit more, like that. Don't get rid of too much of your point, and don't forget where your nose bottom line is. That's why it was good to draw it in, because I was getting so focused on my nose, didn't notice it was a little bit too high up. So just gonna smooth in down here like that. Right, we are more there. Right, underside, just bring that up a little bit more. And this is another one of those bits that can go really badly wrong if you're not careful. You're going to use your needle tool. I don't know whether you can see this. Is this... Can you focus in a bit? I'm putting in nostrils. So I'm going in from the underside and I'm going out slightly to one side like that, and in the other side and slightly... Whoop! I'm going to have to smooth that out. we're gonna.
Again,
Sorry,
sorry.
this is really, really difficult.
Yep.
So underneath, like that, and we're just very, very gently out. We're just shaping the nose shape that we want by very little taps. Can you see? Tiny little movements, because you do too much and you tear any of this and you've got to start again because it's really hard to repair. So can you see now I've got nostrils and we've got that wide nose. I want to just define the side like that, because can you see there's that roundy shape there each side? So we're just going to put that in with our ball tool like that.
I'm trying to keep up with the focus, but
Sorry, it's hard. It's a tiny bit of work here.
Artie Left says, mind she doesn't sneeze on you. No, she's
At least she'll be believable. As long as she's believable. There we go.
Charlie Star says Russell.
Like that. I'm going to just pinch in a slight more point to a nose tip there. There we go. Right. Let's get rid of that scrape line I just did. So we are like this. So far. We have definitely got a face going there. And I could bring our nose just slightly down a bit more. Like, there we go. I think that looks better. So, at this stage, we're now...
Charlie Star says, I've seen worse noses.
We're now going into this
I've seen worse noses.
triangle lip bit, that bit there. And that starts to bring the cheek line in. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to start to come down diagonal like that. Now, I need to find one with a decent clearance, because we're just going to start to... Sorry, we're just going to come round and use the side of the ball tool to start to bring a cheek line. And we're just rolling, really barely touching the clay.
Says you've a squashed nose. She's asking whether, Charlie's typo made it hard to tell what she said.
Can you see?
Charlie says,
Now,
I've seen a few people do the right shapes for a nose, but not add the nostrils, and it makes a big difference with how the
yes.
nose looks.
Can you see? I've just got that cheekbone in like that, and what I've done after I've shaped it, I've come over and just gently petted it down with my thumb, and that gets rid of that stark line, because the more of that stark line there is, the more starved and gaunt you look. So again, if you're going for a starved gaunt look, keep the line that you've done with the side in far more. It's always harder to do the other side when you've just done one, because you've got to make them look exactly the same as each other, which is not easy actually. I'm off the camera, am I?
No, you're off the camera again.
Oop, that way.
Yeah, you need to.
Thank you. What I'd do with that, my camera guy saying I'm off the camera all the time.
Sorry, I can't find an easier
So,
way to
no,
get
no,
you in line.
it's good. That's what we need. So I'm just rolling the clay up, just giving her some cheek.
Maybe take the laser pointer to the camera.
Oh, this would do. Can you see? I'm just trying to make sure that both sides look exactly symmetrical. Because if they don't, that's one of the places you'll spot it. Tapping it in, smoothing it in, getting my cheeks and my head. Make sure it's all in the right lines. Then we're going to come down and bring that lip line in a bit more, like that. There we go. And what you'll find also is we have a tiny dip in the middle, literally in line with our nose, but it's not so strong that you're putting in a very deep line, so you're going to really gentle about it. The smaller ball tool, like that, that's all you need. Tiny thin dent, yeah? Now, because I'm not painting, I'm going to be putting in some clay of a slightly different colour for the lips. Now what I've done is I mixed pink, white and brown together to end up with that. And just have a play around and get a lip colour that you like. And you don't need tons of it. So I reckon that is going to be more than enough lip. Maybe a little too much. There we go. Like that. We're going to form that into a ball. Then the ball, you're going to pinch both ends and just twist it. So what you've ended up with is like a little diamond, but kind of rounded in the middle. See? That shape. Then on that top middle bump, we're going to use a needle tool just to make the two lip shape. Whoop, we're just going like that, and that makes the nice lip shape like that. And you've got to tap down, make sure they're not too pointy. There we go, that's what I want. Now bring this up.
Switch from my phone to my iPad. Now my old eyes see your awesome work.
Awesome. It's hard getting the right bit of technology, but all this is going to be on a video. It's also probably not easy that I keep missing the camera. I'm not the most expert film person, and faces are really difficult. There we go. Fiddled around. That's what I want. Can you see? Because we're going to put the mouth divide in once it's on. Now, you want to get that in line so that the top dent is at the bottom of that line you just drew in down the middle of the top lip. It is. I'm now going to get tools and position it, because my fingers are so chunky. I don't know how people can use just hands for anything.
No, I mean, I think it's way too low.
I'm going to bring it up. Give me a second. There we go. Like that. Push on. There we are. And you're just going to make sure that it all looks even and it's all stuck down properly. Because once you've got it on like that,
So we're really getting there.
yeah.
Charlie Star says Apple have recently updated how you can type words on their products, so as it tries to keep up with my typing, it gets confused by the new flow typing they've added, so it keeps creating typos as it tries to keep up. Sorry.
I'm literally just dividing those lips.
That sounds really annoying, Charlie. I'm sorry.
That sounds very annoying, Charlie. Now I'm going to use a flat edge tool like that.
Okay, sorry.
And then I'm going to come down and just start to use this to shape that mouth. Oop.
I think the lip divide's gone a bit off.
Yep, I'm getting there. Give me a minute. You can't fix it all at once.
I know. I'm trying to help because it's very small.
Yeah.
As you said, with faces, it's hard because the brain
Use your
recognises
fingers.
faces.
Use your ball tools. Fiddle around. Get what you want. And if you find you've got too much over one side, you can always get your X-Acto knife. Where did I put mine? Over here. You can always just cut a little bit off like this. So I think there's just a bit too much there. I'm going to do that. Bring it up like that, and I'm just rolling it away like that. See? So even if once you placed it you think you've gone too far, it's still fixable. Just come back in with your ball tool and round everything off again, and you're doing grand again. See? So I reckon we are getting there. And you can fiddle around and make it so that they're thinner and get your shape how you want. So I'm probably gonna thin up the edges of this bottom lip like that. Bring the mouth a bit more shut, so that sort of thing. Quite a while just fiddling around, get your mouth so that you're happy with it. Then after that it's pretty simple of just making sure you've got your chin.
Can you show us the front?
There we go. I will probably fiddle around with that mouth even a little bit more.
Does it need to go in a bit more?
Just doing things like getting this bottom lip so that it goes in here a bit more. Like that. Because what I'm going to do once I've got this how I want, I'm going to give it an alcohol wash just to get rid of some of these fingerprints and that sort of jazz. And what I'm going to be using is isopropyl alcohol. Right, I reckon she is almost done. I want to come in like this and just define out the chin a bit more, like that, and just bring that join line, that line I've just put in, make it so that it's not so clear, but she's got more of a chin shape now. And again, you can come underneath and give her a chin lift if you want, like that. You can round it all out and fiddle around.
Are you sure those lips aren't too pink?
I think the lips will go a bit darker when they're baked slightly, and I wanted a lighter tone so that it looks like a lighter makeup colour. But again, pick a lipstick that you like, because she's probably going to end up being wearing gold. I think is going to be her dress colour, and so I wanted something that was not so
complimentary lipstick.
over the top lipstick. I wanted it a bit more subtle. I'm bringing the mouth back in place, and just, it's going to take me ages of fiddling around. And I would really suggest, when you've got it to the point you think it's ready for baking, put it down, go to bed for the night, come back and look at it again the next day, because you will find a whole lot of other stuff to fiddle with. But I reckon that face is almost there.
It needs ears.
It needs ears. It's going to also need eyebrows. So what I'm going to do is ears and eyebrows. This is going to be the hair colour, so a darker brown. I will do the hair on another stream, but I'm going to do ears and eyebrows now. So let's put her down. And I warn you, by next week her head will have changed slightly, because I would have come back and just done little fiddles. Keep looking at pictures, keep looking at your model and seeing what you think you want to change. So, ears, don't want nothing too massive. Maybe a bit bigger than that. Let's have a look. Flatten it down a bit. Little bigger than that, I think. We're going for a couple of balls.
She's looking good so far.
She is, yeah. I'm pretty pleased. Considering she is person number 7 or 8 that I've ever made. From this ball, we're gonna bring out a little smaller, almost bring it into a teardrop, but we're just going to curve that tip over a little bit and then push it flatter. So that sort of shape.
Can't really see.
Like a little fat speech mark.
Ear shape.
Yeah? So ear shaped. Now, remember that your ears have got to mirror each other. So it's like anything that mirrors, it's always easier to do the first one than it is to do the second one, because you've got to make the second one look like the first one, which is not so easy. But this is pretty simple. Just make sure that your earlobe is the same sort of shape and thickness. Right, so we got 2 of these. What I'm going to do is I'm picking it up with a smaller ball tool. The size of the ball tool that I'm picking it up is the size that I want for that ear canal. So what I'm going to do is I'm picking it up from that middle join line there where I want it to join the head. Now, double check with your person. Eye line, centre of the ear. Can you see? Again, eye line, centre of the top of the hole. That's what you're looking for.
So the eyes are just above the ears.
Just the ears are just a little bit above the eyes. So we are going about there. I'm just going to push that maybe a little bit further up. It's that flat edge you want to join in. Yeah, that'll do, like that. Yeah?
Now it just needs blending.
You got to join it all on. I tend to add both ears because I don't want to stick one in place, blend out all those join lines and find that I actually want the ear in a different place. So what you're going to look, first off, across the top, are they in line? Yes, they are. Then we're going to go forward. Is one higher than the other? So across the eye line. Yes, it is. That one is lower than that one. So let's bring that just down a little. There we go. They look roughly in line. Then you're going to look down the side like that. Where on the head, that one is further back that way, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to hold it up like this. Bring it back a little bit more. There we are. Right. What do you reckon? Quality control? Does that look like they are in line with each other?
Can you, yeah, they are backwards to forwards, but if you turn it, oh, that looks right.
Yeah? Once you've got them where you want, we're going to get a small ball tool and we're just going to join that top front edge You ain't really got to worry about the back. Just along like that. And again, this side. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're finding a ball tool that's the same size we want for the narrowest ear canal. So the hole that goes through your ear. Not this big wide bit out here, just the hole. So a really small one. So probably about that size. And we're going to go in diagonally down in the same angle as the cheekbone. And we're going to start there. Go in like that. Then we're going to bring this up and just start to come round and bring that into the shape we want for the ear, and do that little outside loop like that. Can you see? Make sure you've got no join lines, so like that.
Turn the front towards us.
There we go. Oop, that way. So I've pushed it in, made sure that that is flat to the head like that, and then brought that out a little bit, brought that down a little bit, then just done a tiny little semicircle like that, and you have the ear. You can at that point, if you want more pronounced earlobe, just tap in like that, bring that down a bit. See? You can fiddle around and get an ear that you are happy with. I'm just smoothing out some of those fingerprints. There we go. Same on the other side. And again, this one's going to be harder because you're trying to make it the same as the other one. We're going in following the angle of the cheekbone. So like that. Down here. Like that. Smooth that in. Bring the shape of the earlobe in a bit more. Then we're coming up and putting in that little semicircle outer line like that. Whoop. Bring that back. And that arm is totally in the way, but I'm managing it okay. There we go. Right, what do you reckon? Keep having a look, check that they look roughly the same. I think that one needs to come back along here a bit more. There we go. That's better. That looks more like the other one. Just need to bring it back and fiddle around and keep checking that you have ears that look the same as each other. Right, I reckon that is a good approximate from now. What do you reckon?
I think one ear sticks out slightly more than the other.
This one's slightly more out, so if I did tap it back a little.
Or pull the other one out. Either way, I don't know.
Bring that one out a little bit more. Like that.
Looks good to me.
There. Maybe bring that up like that. So you're going to be fiddling around. Once you've got your ear where you want and they're looking the same as each other, we're going to come in and put some eyebrows on. It's a tiny thin bit of dark brown that are two bits the same size. This has gone a lot more smoothly than I feared it would, because usually I have things really, the problem is getting the symmetry. So we're going to turn these balls into sticks, and what we're going to do is thin out, keep a chunky couple of millimeters, and then bring it to a thin point like that. Whoop, you falling apart. There we go, that's more like it. Make sure they're roughly the same length. What do we reckon? You there with it? Oop, stop sticking to each other, you. Behave. There we go. Roughly the same length. I think that one is just slightly longer. So let's take off like that. Yeah? 2 eyebrows. Roughly the same length. So, small little ball tool. I'm going to pick it up from the centre again. Too small ball tool and it won't pick up. Come on, stick you. Fine, I'll go for a big one. See what I mean? If the clay thinks it's bigger than your ball tool, it won't listen to it. We're going to put that in place. I'm going to put an arch on it. So like that, and then tack that in place like that, and then I'm going to bring it over and down. So like that. And you can go and change your eyebrow shape. You can change its positioning and just have a fiddle around. You can also, instead of using a ball tool, just use your fingers. That also works as a pickup. Let's come back a bit. There we go. And put a curve in like that. See, so you can have a fiddle around and get your eyebrows where you want. I think they're going a little too long, so again I'm going to take the tips off those because I think they're a bit long for me. So do that, which is what I like about clay. If you get it on and it ain't right, it's so easy just to have a quick chuffy around and you end up with perfect length like you measured it and actually you didn't so much. I'm going to thin out this bit like that. There we go. Thin it out, stick it on. Once you've had a real fiddle around, and I honestly will say from this point I will spend a good couple of hours just checking it and messing around and making sure that I'm happy with what I've got. And I know I've gone for chunky eyebrows there, but she's going to get quite an afro hairdo. I might take them off and thin them out a bit.
I think I might need to move down a bit.
What do you reckon?
I think they're a bit high for when the hairline gets put on.
So coming down like that.
Can't really see from this angle. You need to show back a bit.
That better?
That's more like it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I really advise get a couple of trusted friends that you can share photos of your work with, or people in your household. It's always better to, like I do, I had my husband say, well, that looks a bit off, and you can be so fixated on the project yourself that you don't spot when something's a bit out. So I would totally advise trying to find a little group to do that. And you're welcome to, if you got no one, message me if you want to show me something and say, what would you change about this? I can give you my opinion. It may, you're totally willing to go against it though.
It's difficult to see if the size is right before she has hair.
Yeah. I tell you what, let's do this. This might help. Let's find one that's facing forwards See, can I get a kind of hair? Like that. There you go, that's ish. Just picture the top's a bit more covered. So we're kind of there. She does have quite chunky eyebrows. But what I'm going to do, this is 70% or higher rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, I want to go more chunky, and she's going to have quite a bigger hairdo, because I don't think you need to be to that level of perfect. My eyebrows are chunky. Look at these. I'm huge eyebrows. My Jewish ancestry. Massive. Right. Cotton bud. And what rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol will do, it will take off any fingerprints. It will clean clay that's in the wrong place. So if you've got a smudge of colour somewhere you don't want, that sort of thing. And it can take out some of these lines and make it all a bit more smooth.
Charlie Star asks if the alcohol percentage makes a difference.
Yeah, anything lower than 70%, because what they've done, rubbing alcohol, is just isopropyl alcohol and distilled water. So if there's more than 70%, if there's less than 70% alcohol, you're basically trying to rub it down with too watery a solution, and it won't melt the top layer.
Or it might have other additives.
Which is what you want to happen, is this top layer just to be melted. You can go up to 100%, that's fine. I have, and this actually is. I know it's in a 70% bottle, but I found someone selling 100% are cheaper than the 70. So I was like, okay, that'll do, mate. And if it melts too much for you, just add a drop of water to it. But can you see how...
What if it's higher than 70?
If it's higher than 70, you can go all the way up to 100. It just melts
less,
more.
Distilled water in it.
So you can always, if you're finding it's melting too much, you can just add a drop of water to your alcohol and just use cotton buds to take it off. But can you see, doing that alcohol wash, how it's now, she looks a lot smoother. All those fingerprints are gone. She's got a lot of those wrinkle lines are gone. So I totally advise a little rinse over with your rubbing alcohol before you do a bake. The other thing, your alcohol wash does not work on baked clay. You can rub it down till the cows come home. You ain't getting anything off.
Okay.
If you want to remove from baked clay, you're looking at sanding. So try and get it how you want, as much as possible, before you bake it. And that just literally means fiddling around with a cotton bud and some rubbing alcohol and get rid of all those fingerprints. Or you can come over and just gently stroke it with your finger. That actually gets rid of fingerprints, believe it or not. But you're in danger on some of the detailed areas of smudging if you don't use alcohol. But I think we are where I'm going to stop tonight. So let's clear the deck so you can see her properly. Bring her up, back of the head, into the neck. I've got to smooth that round the neck. I'm going to probably come in with some sandpaper once it's baked. There's the face. Any questions, anyone, before I sign off? Because this is definitely the more complicated thing to do. Nope. Okay. Good luck with yours. Do show pictures if you make people If you've got, thank you. If you've got any questions or need a bit of help in the future, just find me on Facebook or Instagram. Etsy shop's got messaging. I'm all over the place. I'm either under Carly Langridge, which is LANGRIDGE, or Carly's Creative Clay. Thank you all. Have a great week, and I'll see you all next week when we're going to do the hair and get started on some of the clothes. Hands will come a lot later. Hands are one of the last things I do on the sculpture. Okay? Have a great